Okay. Can anyone please acknowledge that am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks for acknowledging. First of all, good evening to everyone, and I welcome you all in today's session. I would like to introduce today's presenter, Sakshi ma'am. Uh,
Hello. So we will just start in just 5 minutes. We are waiting for the participants to join.
Hello.
Hey, hi. Meanwhile, can somebody share the list of questions, if there were questions that were already there, so that I can have a look?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we are waiting for the participants to join, and after that, we'll just start with the event. So, like,
Okay, sure. I
yeah.
mean, if there were any questions that were posted earlier before the
Oh,
event,
yeah,
then we
yeah, ma'am.
can.
I'll just share. Like,
Yeah,
no,
okay, thank
yeah,
you.
sure.
Okay, let me know when we can start.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Can we start now?
Ma'am, we are just waiting for some of the participants to come. I would request your patience.
Sure, sure, sure.
Sure.
Please.
Okay. A dream doesn't become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. By Colin Powell. Today we have with us an eminent personality with us. I'm glad to welcome Ms. Sakshi Sharma from Microsoft. A very good evening to one and all present here. This is Abhishek Rana from Model Club of BIT Sindri.
And this is Rishika Sana from Model Club of BIT Sindri as well. We welcome you all to the talk show organized by Model Club in association with the Coding Ninjas.
So today we have Ms. Sakshi Sharma. She is a software engineer at Microsoft. She had completed her BTech in mathematics and computing from the Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. So thank you, ma'am, for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, can we start then?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure,
So,
okay.
ma'am, starting with your journey. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, ma'am, starting with your journey, how did you started your DSA preparation? Did you started your DSA preparation from first year itself or from second year?
Yeah, right. So, okay, talking about my journey in the first year, I think all of us have a common computing or programming course. That's at least we had in our college. And I started off with at least some of the basic. So we had to program in C at that time. So I started with at least some basic C. But properly, I would say getting into data structures and getting into algorithms, I would say properly it was around mid or end of third semester. So that is when I bought the Coding Ninjas foundation course, and then I got started from there. And then after that, I got into the DSA course, and from there, I think for me it was around 3 to 4 months for the DSA course to get finished. So yeah, so that was my starting point. And then in the fourth semester, I would like to call out that there will be a lot of opportunities. That will be coming up for internship. So I started like a lot of opportunities like Uber, even like Uber, Samsung, Microsoft, Google, of course, these companies, Amazon, they start coming up with a lot of opportunities, internship opportunities. So it's good if you can start probably around somewhere in second year to get a good internship at the end of your summer of second year or third year, right? And then for me, talking about my Microsoft journey also, so at that time we used to have a program called as Codes. Now it is called as Microsoft Engage program, as you might have heard about it. So there was a coding assessment. I remember there were 2 questions. That looks like a very far-fetched thing, but like very old thing in the past. But I remember the questions were, I think, somewhere linked list or array based, like basic questions only, given the level that we are at that time. So I started from there, and then based on the performance in the test, uh, we some of the people got called to the office in Microsoft, and some of like and the people who did like another set of people, they were also given a mentorship from Microsoft. So in the mentorship, we attended some of the webinars that were conducted by software engineers and other leaders at Microsoft, and we also got some of the coding assignments. So that was the theme that was at that time. But now what I've been hearing about Engage is that you are given a project, like you get to work on a real world Microsoft project without even having an internship or job opportunity with them through this program. And then based on that, they judge you, and if you do well there, then they give you directly an internship opportunity, or at least you can skip few other rounds. So for us, since so I also had like a mock interview with one of the software engineers during my mentorship program. So because I did well there, I did not have to give the written code like coding test, and then I also got skipped in the group fly round that they call it. So it was pre-COVID time, so at that time we used to have a group fly round where we had to write code on paper. So I just got like I didn't have to write those on because of doing well and doing the mentorship program and everything. So yeah, that and then I had another set of interviews, technical interviews. I remember questions from trees, graphs, even. So one of the like underrated topic is something called as tries. Again, tries a lot of companies ask, and then oops concepts, don't underrate them. Like when you are especially a software engineer, you will be most of the time you might not use other data structures, but object oriented programming concepts, classes, inheritance, and all the object oriented programming concepts you will be using on a daily basis. So I would highly emphasize, whenever you're preparing your DSA, prepare oops also very well, especially for your internships. And then yeah, I had a set of technical rounds and then HR round, and then I got an I got an internship opportunity with Microsoft. So that is my journey. I'll just keep it brief till there. A few things I want to like. Again, it will be a very interactive session, so whatever comes to my mind, like as in tips and suggestions, I'll be just passing them on. So few things, even when so in coding test, probably you can skip all of these things, but especially when you're appearing for interviews, few things that you can keep in mind is keep your code as modular as possible. Like if don't write all of the functions in the same main function, break it down into smaller because these are the practices that you'll have to follow when you are working as software engineer. Also make your code as readable as possible. Give proper variable names. Don't put like in practice it is okay to put int n equal to array dot size, but when you're writing code, let's say in an interview, write int input array size or like a proper variable name, so that it should be self descriptive. You should not be, because 80% like 80% might be a lot, but like half of the time, rather than writing your own code, you have to understand other people's code, so it should be readable also. I mean, these are not really expectations like top-notch expectations from you, but if you showcase them, that puts you ahead of a lot of other candidates. So then again, code modularity and proper variable names, and always think out loud in your interview process, because many times like you will be stuck, and even if you're not stuck, when you work as a software engineer, you will always be given a vague problem. It will not be like a lead code or hackering problem when they've given you everything, that it's an array and size is also given, everything, all the details are given. They'll just tell you, let's talk about a problem. They say that it's an array of numbers. Now it's a very vague problem. Now numbers are integers, can they be decimal point, can they be negative or not, can they, let's say in some cases zero changes the answer for the problem, so can there be zeros or not. Let's say zero makes the problem very difficult, but you just didn't ask if there can be zero. Maybe the problem defines that there cannot be a zero in the array, right? So do not assume anything, ask a lot of clarifying questions at the start. uh, do not start coding until the interviewer says, because you will be wasting a lot of time. Let's say what happens, especially when you have practiced a lot, what happens is that you assume that it, like it has happened with me personally also. I assumed that it was an entirely different problem, and I wasted the entire time assuming that, and then at the end I realized that I have been coding the wrong approach all this time. So get your approach validated before coding, because coding is a huge investment during the interview. So yeah, I think I covered till internship. I can like go on with the rest of the journey also, but yeah, we can take more questions meanwhile.
Yeah. Like, okay, all right, ma'am. That was great experience. So let's talk about the experience with software development. Were you only focused and dedicated to competitive programming and the DSA part, or you did ML, machine learning, and web development, and on Android
Right.
development?
Right. So before joining my internship, and even after, like before my full-time role, I tried to explore as much as I could. So in my first year, I was a part of the consulting and analytics club at my college. So there I was involved with guesstimates, case studies, even some of the case reviews and everything, totally on the consulting and analytics side. And on the analytics side, I took up some of the mini projects, like if you go ahead and if you have to start with data analytics, if you go ahead on Kaggle, you have some of the data set like Titanic data set and house prices data set. So did some learned some data cleaning, data processing there. So tried my hands there as well. And uh, then I shifted to coding and of course like DSA and computer programming. But alongside, I was also taking up a lot of web development projects. So I took web development projects in MERN stack. I have also done one project in Django. So when you when you learn these diverse tech stack, right? Because that is one more expectation from you as a software engineer. Because the problem solving skills and everything is okay, but you might have to adapt to any new tech stack at any point. So you should have that adaptability with you. And then since I had a mathematical background, I could also get an internship in computer vision, which is a part of ML only, in my second year summer. So I did that internship also. So yeah, I think, and that internship actually helped me a lot to get the internship offer at Microsoft, because I remember there was one interview round where, so I was working with a product of Microsoft, which is Microsoft Connect, during my ML internship. That was in a small startup. So yeah, and then the interviewer just got interested in that, and the entire, I think 80% around of that round was just talking about that project. So he asked me things like what I was working on and how it could be adapted to other business scenarios. They always try to know the real world impact of your project, and always try to work on projects that might be suitable, like that might have some actual use case. I can give you one more example. So a few folks in my college, they worked on an attendance tracking app, and that is a really relevant issue among students, that even to track their attendance, and if they are going, if some courses are mandatory 75% attendance. So that was a very relevant issue, pain point that they targeted, and actually got like students in college actually started using that app. So like try to have, if you have a business case scenario for your project, I think that adds a lot to your technical abilities. So yeah, coming back to the question, I think yeah, I have tried to explore a lot web development or machine learning, and kept the project as diverse as I could, because those are the years when you can actually go ahead and explore, and nothing goes, like I said, the ML internship helped me in getting this like software dev role at Microsoft. So I don't think anything would go waste. But try to be a little judgmental and calculative. Like don't go into the rat hole of just exploring in one direction. Try exploring multiple direction also. Yeah, nothing will hurt on your resume.
Yeah. Ma'am, I had one more question. You told about clubs and societies. So, how often, you were part of the clubs and society, and what are the experiences you've gained from there, and what are the
Yeah,
importance of it? So please
yeah.
explain it to the.
Yeah, sure. I can talk about that. So, yeah, a lot of students ask me that how relevant are positions of responsibilities or any extracurriculars that you take up. So, for me, at least till I was applying as a graduate, not as a not until I transitioned into this 1 year plus sort of region now, I had kept extracurriculars and PORs on my resume. So, but again, so one thing, you get a network of senior juniors and seniors, like that is one good takeaway. Like if you have to ask for a referral, let's say, so who do you go to? Like if you have a good network, that is one thing. Then of course, you in the technical or sorry, in the clubs, you don't have to be a part of I'm not saying like if you're not interested, then you don't have to be part of culture club. You can also take up technical clubs, right? So uh, I think, and then it also makes you work in a collaborative and a team sort of environment. So if you see in HR and behavioral rounds, a lot of times you will get asked questions like, let's say, tell me about a time when you had a conflict with one of your teammates when you're working on your project. So if you don't have any industrial experience, then it's a very rare scenario that you might have come across such scenario. But let's say you worked in a team already, or you worked in a club with other people, then you don't have to make up a story. You have already experienced that, so it helps in those. Like it, at least for me, it has helped in those. And if you are a part of technical clubs, I don't think there's anything to lose there. uh you are anyway just take up a good project, don't waste your time there. Just take up a good project and work on that. And coming to mentioning them on your resume, please keep it relevant. I mean, don't mention like dancing or singing, all of that, if you're applying for a technical role. So for me, if I talk about myself, I have mentioned the being part of consulting analytics club, doing guesstimates and everything. Although I might apply for a software dev role, but still it gives the other person an idea that I have also explored other things. Then I have mentioned being part of hackathons, even mentored in some of the hackathons. Like I had not done it at least till college, but after final year and in my 8th semester, I mentored also in some of them because I had at least some good grasp on some of the. So these are the things that you can mention. I did Hacktoberfest and everything, contributed a little bit to open source. So these are still very valid extracurriculars or that you can mention. I mentioned that I was part of the basketball team, that is still relevant. And then I was a part of the movie club also, and then we got first prize there. That also I used to mention. Anything, and I have, like, trust me or not, at least so in my Microsoft HR interview, the interviewer actually saw that the short film of mine at least for 2-3 minutes, and he was just impressed by the over like all roundedness of. And even in some other interviews, the manager or the interviewer has brought it up that like to be all rounded. So like just don't take a lot of space on your resume. Whatever that you add in your resume should be adding value to your resume. And but do add positions of responsibility, like, and then when you add positions of responsibility, add numbers to it. Like I led a team of 20 members, and then we conducted a fest which had a footfall of, let's say, 10K people or 5K people. I conducted 50 webinars with the club or something like that. Always add metrics that adds a lot of credibility to whatever you are saying. So yeah, these are few things that you can keep in mind when you are adding them in your resume.
Okay, that was great, Nam. Actually, Nam, I want to know your views on the challenges faced by Tier 3 colleges for for such opportunities, like getting internship at Microsoft and all.
Right. So, yeah, it might not be possible for me to have the first person perspective because, of course, Uh, so yeah, so from whatever I've experienced, I think now the bridge between like tier one and tier three getting into the product based companies has reduced a lot, is what I believe. Like when I scroll through LinkedIn, I think like the tier one people get it. Most of them either get a PPO or something in these companies, but I see the tier three people also hustling and then getting much better opportunities also. Than tier one people. So I think that that gap is bridging. And for me, I think even off campus opportunities. So I can talk a little bit, like I can give a little bit of suggestions on as a tier three student how you can apply. Of course, on campus, a lot of companies might not be coming to your campus, so you can go. So few ways you can apply is, of course, one is career portal. Go to the find relevant openings, and then on asking for referral, I can also give like few of the things. So when you're asking for a referral, uh, uh, then yeah, so like try to give a brief summary about yourself, paste your resume. And some of the students have also come to me and then they said, are there any open positions or not, like in your company? But if they are, then please let me know. Then I don't think that should be the way. Go ahead and find those openings on the career portal, and then write a brief write up about why you think you are a relevant fit for that, and then attach your resume and everything. And still, if you don't get response, please understand that other people might be like, of course they are also having their professional commitments, but I think more often than not you will be getting a response. And then yeah, keep trying. And then one thing is that you can also cold reach out to recruiters. So this is like one of the least maybe conversion ratios, but it has worked for me sometimes. And you just need that one opportunity, right? You don't need like you just need that one interview opportunity, and then you can convert it. So yeah, I have seen a lot of people do one shot one kill, so you can use that also. And then yeah, I think other for like especially for tier 3 students, I tier 3 college students, I think these student programs like Engage. Google also has some of the scholarship programs, I think. So these are also one more way that you can try. So yeah, commenting on the opportunities, I think of course I get it. It becomes served on a platter for the tier 1 students because all these companies want to like just hire them and come to their campus. But I think yeah, you'll have to maybe reach out a lot more and try out a lot more. But they are there, the opportunities are there, and I'm seeing people getting it, so I think you can get it. And even on LinkedIn, I think people are willing to help. You can just reach out to relevant folks. So yeah, yeah, that should be good.
Okay, ma'am. We have dropped our questions, question form. So
Okay.
there are basically first year students and second year students. So if you want to ask any question from ma'am, you can just uh, fill the form.
Yeah. Are there any questions meanwhile? Or I can talk a little bit about my internship experience maybe meanwhile by
Yeah,
the
ma'am.
time we get
Yeah,
the
Yes,
questions.
ma'am. Yes,
sure.
ma'am, sure.
Yeah, right. So, so yeah, I stopped at getting like I mentioned that there were technical interviews and HR and everything. So in my internship, I worked like I cannot talk about the exact project, but yeah, it was some of the key learning for me again was uh again writing maintainable and readable code, and then like I learned a lot about how class diagrams work and how to design. One of the biggest learning was that coding would be a very I mean, I'm not discouraging you right now, you just have to code and get your DSA straight, but as a software engineer, coding will be a lesser percentage of your work. A lot of percentage would be talking to people, collaborating, designing things, like modifying things to like what the user wants and all of that. But yeah, but focus on your DSA as of now. And then so the tech stack that I worked with was C# and .NET, and that was one tech stack that I had never worked with. But again, like if you have this adaptability with you, so it took me 1 to 2 weeks to ramp up to that tech stack. So because I had that adaptability of like adapting to new tech stack. So yeah, again, that was one positive point that helped me. And then one more thing was like being able to present, whatever work that I've put up. So these are few of the skills that I learned in the internship. And then since ours was a COVID year internship, previous to our years, there used to be no interviews, just like a PPO offer based on the interview performance, but based on the internship performance. But for our year, we had interviews post the internship also for the PPO. So there also I got asked again like DSA based problems, and then the interviewer also discussed about my internship project that I did. I remember like the question was something on the lines of rainwater tapping problem. Like I'm just giving, yeah, I'm just giving out one example there. Don't take this problem as the only problem that you have to code. But yeah, practice DP and like, so if you see even this, if you have maybe practiced this problem, if you see there are a lot of approaches to this problem, and then it goes from n square to n to like more optimal approaches. So the thing that I want to bring up here is that in your interview, always start from brute force. Always tell the, even if you know the solution, don't jump to that. Start from brute force, and always mention time and space complexities for your solution. And then you can say that, okay, time and space looks good here, but maybe on the expense of some space I can optimize the time. So, and if you go ahead and see this problem, this is a very good example of that, like on the expense of some space, optimizing on time. So you can ask the interviewer what is more important to us. Like if, let's say in some scenarios, space might not be that important, so you can like make order in space and order in time. Or if space is very important, then you need order in space and O(n) squared time is also okay. So yeah, always mention the trade-off between different data structures that you might use, different approaches that you might take, because that is what you will do as a software engineer also. Each time that a task is given to you, you will have 100 ways to, not exactly 100, but like maybe at least 3 to 4 ways to do it. So making that decision, that which would you put and why, even for a project for that matter. Like let's say you worked with Django for your project, so you might get asked that why did you pick Django? There are many other web dev frameworks and everything. What is the difference? Like what are the other web dev frameworks, and what is the difference between Django and, let's say, MERN stack? And in which cases would you prefer using Django for your project? Which cases would you prefer MERN stack? So knowing these trade-offs even when you are doing your project. So yeah, these are some of the things that you can keep in mind. So that was mostly about my internship experience. And since the interview also went well, and I could like, and then learning from feedback also, I think. So it was like first few meetings were not the best, of course. I was constantly learning, but like acting on the feedback and working on it, I think is what matters more than being the perfect one from the first meeting, I think. So yeah, and then yeah, then I got this full-time offer, and then joined back. It has been 1 year now. The tech stack across the company mostly will be same. So the tech stack has been mostly same, but I changed the teams, and then after that also there have been a lot of learnings. Like so production, like corporate code, will be very different from what you will do in DSA. There will be much other things are coming in, but if you just have a learning mindset, I think everything will be okay. So that would be my experience in a nutshell. Please ask any specific question on the maybe on any of the learnings or tech stack, or any of my experiences. I will be happy to share.
Yeah, like ma'am, a student has asked the question like she's a chemical engineering student, but she's interested in coding. So what all, because there's a challenges faced by the core students, like whether to go for tech placements and whether to go for the core placements. So what all challenges and how to like shift her career from core branch, like from core to like tech. Please explain that.
Yeah. So from what I have seen is that I have majorly seen them struggling during the on-campus placements, because like when these product-based companies come, they mostly are open for like CSE or circuital branches, and then they also have a CPI criteria and everything. But for off-campus opportunities, I think I have seen a much lesser bias. I have not seen uh I have not seen a lot of companies putting any branch criteria or anything. So I think, yeah, the struggle will be there. You might have to apply for a lot of like a lot of companies outside. But at least I think one advantage that I see in core branches is that you can maintain a higher CPI than the CSE and like circuital branches, because the courses are much tougher there. Although they are relevant, I mean, in CSE you might be like, as a part of your coursework only, you will be learning like CSE based courses like operating systems and another thing. Like for internship based interviews, I also got uh, of at least for the full-time role interviews, some of the companies also focused on operating systems and networks and ABMS. So that is also like always okay, I'll come back to that later. Maybe coming back to the core thing, yeah. So the point that you can leverage there is that you can get a higher CPI. So try to maintain a good CPI, and then that will work in favor of you and your branch, and then keep applying at least off campus opportunities. And I get it, like you have to manage it with other things, but yeah, keep your operating system, networks, and all of these course fundamentals strong. Keep practicing DSA. I think, yeah, that should be good. If you have 2 to 3 relevant projects or internships, if you have good enough DSA skills, I think your branch would not matter a lot. Like, yeah, and so what all do you mention there? You mentioned technical skills on your resume, right? So if you have done projects, and again, okay, a few other things is that I get asked a lot that should we mention technical skills like my online certifications or not? Like should I mention certifications or not? So what I would suggest is that rather than mentioning that certification, try to convert it into a project and mention it as a part of a project rather than just a certification. That would add a lot of more value. So if you have those projects in place, those tech skills, and then even if you, let's say you studied operating system from a YouTube playlist, but you can still write because you know the concept. So you can write those in your key courses, and you can mention all your projects and internships, even coming from a core branch. So I think that should be fine. Yeah, I hope I answered that.
Okay, ma'am. Actually, I have a question from your internship. Ma'am, could you please tell us about the projects and the tech stack, the technology that you have explored during your internship process?
Right. So like I mentioned, I work with C Sharp and .NET. C Sharp is a language and .NET is a framework on which it is built. And and I got to also work with like databases. I had to implement database for my service. So I worked with Azure Cosmos DB, and to implement authentication and authorization, I used Azure Active Directory. So a lot of Azure based tech stack, and like on so and like you all like must be knowing GitHub. So for Microsoft internal version control, again, we use Azure DevOps. So that was my first exposure to CI/CD pipelines and what is a build, what is a release, what is how do we release code into production. So all of those like CI/CD pipeline, Azure DevOps, right? So all of these, and one more thing, when you're okay, one more thing I want to probably would want to take a note of all of these things, because like, yeah, they are very small points, but if you take care of it, I think it will help you a lot. So when you're building your projects, try to maintain a proper Git history or like a commit history of your project, because let's say you add the GitHub repo or something. If you have a proper commit history, first of all, it gives the interviewer the idea, or the whoever is seeing your resume, it gives them the idea that like how you incrementally build the project, and then it adds validity to your project. So yeah, that's yeah. So coming back to, yeah, so a lot of Azure based technologies I got to work with. And then talking about my project, so exactly, like I cannot talk exactly about my project, but like, yeah, it was implementation of a lot of APIs. If you guys would have heard what an API is, so basically I had to build a service that would store mappings between a certain set of URLs and the apps that are generating those URLs. So to store that mappings, I had to extend some of the APIs, and then I also had to implement authorization and authentication for that service, because that's again very important. Then I also, so to store the data, again, there were multiple options, right? I can use Azure Cosmos DB, MongoDB. I can use a SQL database or a NoSQL database. So again, you have to make a decision that based on how your requirements are, should you use a SQL database or no SQL database. So yeah, these are some of the things that I got to learn.
Okay, ma'am, we have a question from the participant. like what is the ideal skill that one should try to adapt in first year?
Okay. Yeah, I got the question. So I think I have tried to like list a lot of like skills. Like I mentioned, be adaptability to tech stack is one thing. Like if you have that flexibility to be able to work across tech stack, that is one thing. And then mostly would be to clear the interviews would be to have strong CS like computer science fundamentals, to know what operating systems are, how what are network concepts, to have strong object oriented programming concepts, to have strong DSA. Like even so, I get asked a lot of questions about like how many questions should we do to be able to like get to a good level. So from what I have practiced and everything. After a point, you will start observing, like start observing patterns in these problems. So like so don't do a problem just for the sake of the number. And one more thing, when you do a problem, don't stop there. Like a lot of time the brute force approach will also get accepted on all of these coding platforms. So don't stop there. All these coding platforms also have something called as a discuss forum, where other people present other approaches to do it, more optimal ways to do it. And a lot of times you will find very strange ways that people have solved that problem, and that might not help in that problem, but anyway that will help in some other problem. Because whenever you are appearing for these interviews, they will not be the questions will not be like out of like they will not be, the question will not be really alien question. They will be some modifications of the generic questions only. So and that is where like most of the people fail, because they have like sort of like mechanically learned how to do those questions, but they fail to recognize the pattern in the question. So if you after each question, if you could do it or you could not do it, in either case try to see like what was the concept involved, and when you saw that question for the first time, what were the ideas that came in your mind, and what were the approaches that you could have thought of. So when you look at a question, there should be at least one or two ways that you can like think of these might be the possible approaches, and then based on the constraints you can go ahead with one approach. So yeah, try to have that skill when you start practicing also in your first year, right? Try to have that skill of trying out multiple approaches, having that it's okay if you did like let's say 5 questions only, or like 2 to 3 questions only. But if I did one question with 3 approaches, I effectively did 3 questions. So don't underestimate, don't run behind the count or the number of questions. So yeah, that. And then that I think, yeah, these are a few things that will help you when you are starting off or when you are just getting started in your first year.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question. There is one more question from the participant. How to cope up with the college studies and preparation for for product-based companies and material required for the preparation? Is there any issue if one is a dropper? And how to explore ML, AI, web development, app development along with the college for non-CS branch students?
Okay, there are a lot of questions here. Can we go one by one?
One by one.
Yeah. Okay. What was the first question?
And actually, how to cope up with the college studies along with the preparation for product-based companies.
Yeah. So yeah, I think for me also, so I come from a mathematics and computing background. We had mathematics courses also, and they were pretty hard, but then you have to be little selective there. I mean, it will be good if you can just attend classes and pay attention there. It will solve a lot of like you don't have to study a lot last minute. But I get it, it's completely not possible to pay attention all the time. So yeah, you just have to make that trade-off, either make up for it, like don't. So even if you're not attending classes, don't waste time then. So if you're not attending classes, utilize it maybe in your prep or something. And let's say you're missing classes also, and then you're not utilizing that time also, I don't think that would really help. So you can choose to miss some of the lectures which might not be like really like helping you or something, because sometimes what helps us is to just read through the book or something and read through the notes, and that would be much more optimal than listening to the class. So that's okay, but don't waste that time. That's what I'm saying. But the best way is of course to just pay attention in the class, because a lot of time a lot of time professors like they tend to ask the concept that they have taught in the class and that might not be there in the book, right? And then I got to learn this the hard way, that like, so we used to do this previous year questions and everything for JE and everything, right? JE and other competitive exams. I got to, yeah, so even in colleges, like you can talk to your seniors, and there will be questions who like so talk to your seniors, and most probably there will be common professors if you are from the same branch, and then professors mostly don't change over years, and there will be some concept that this particular professor asks like in the exams or midterm. So and I think that that will get you decent marks there. So I thought that previous year wala concept was only till JE, but looks like it was not. So have good rapport with your seniors, like or you can just ask a branch representative or somebody to talk to the seniors and get that, like get the questions or get the previous year questions or get the notes from your seniors. So I think getting good marks, I think your seniors can be a very good resource. And then like there will be a lot of electives and all also, so talk to your seniors about like which one is a chill elective. If you want, if you don't really want to, like if you're not really interested in that elective, then just take a chiller one. So that way you can save time some, like on some places, and then get like and then of course I'm not telling, at least the core subjects I'm not telling to skip. Of course, if you pay attention, at least for the course, like at least for the CSE, MNC, CSE and IT branch people, don't skip the core subjects is what I'm telling. But if your professor is really not able, you think you're really not able to get that concept from the class, then of course you can read it on your own. But again, if you attend classes, it shows discipline and it shows consistency, and then always that is going to help you. But make that wise decision of like, if the class is really not helping you, don't waste your time there. And by skipping the class also, don't waste your time, try to utilize it in learning something on your own. So by this way I think you can like hack and get decent CPI also, and then learn the interview oriented concepts also.
Okay, so ma'am, second question was like, what are the materials required in order to get a job in product-based companies?
Okay, materials.
Material.
Yeah, so I can talk about how I started. So for MLA, like I mentioned, for data analytics, I started from exploring some of the data sets on Kaggle. I learned about data processing, and then you would like we mostly underestimate how much data cleaning and data processing is important on top of data analytics. So I learned a little bit of that, and then for ML and AI, I already like I had some courses in math which were like linear algebra and probability and statistics courses that sort of helped me. But I did this course, I think introduction to machine learning on Udemy, or I think Udemy. And then I mean I'm just trying to give like there are no particulars, there are a lot of online resources, there are courses from coding ninjas also on all of these arenas. And yeah, so that is what I'm trying to put. You just have to find the right resource. Even for web development, I just so there is a bootcamp course online which I did, and then it had a capstone project and everything. So that is what I did for getting started with web development. The Django project that I had done later, that was not a guided project, so of course I had to start with guided playlist, and there are a lot of playlists online, you can start from there. But the Django project that I did, that was entirely like on my own. So I on the scratch so you don't, so let's say if you're building a Django app, you will not build that app in one day. You will have to, even for coding, you start from printing hello world, right? So you start making a small Django app that just prints hello world, and then you start from there. You build it up a little bit, and then one by one you add components, and then again, like I mentioned, learn version control, have the different commit history and everything in place. So that will just add that, like that will help you also and the other person who's also looking at your resume. And then one more thing, so one more interesting project that you can take up is making your own portfolio. And you don't have to, if you are interested, you can make it from scratch, but there are a lot of templates, also open source templates that are available. You can just go there and then like put in your data there and put that in your resume. I think that also makes you stand out from a lot of other candidates. Right. So yeah, I think yeah, they provide that portfolio link, because rather than like giving it in a letter format, you can add pictures, videos, and like lot of, yeah, so that becomes, and then a lot of information you cannot put on your resume, right? Because it has to be concise. And your portfolio, once you provide that link, you can put whatever, maybe you can highlight your extracurriculars more there, because that's something that you have, and that's like a dynamic page, you can always change it. So I think that is one more thing. So coming back to resources for projects and everything, I think I have mostly learned from online playlists and online guided courses. So that is the way you can start.
Okay, ma'am. So the third question was a very common and genuine question. Like, is there any difficulties for the dropper in order to get placed in good companies? Like a person who took drop
Like before first year, you mean like between 12th and first year?
between 12th and first year.
I have not seen. I mean, I don't think that's even a metric after you get in after the first year. I mean, all they'll care is your branch and probably the CG that you have. So I have not really seen a lot of questions getting asked to anybody who took a drop. But yeah, I don't think it has like affected. If you, given that you have the relevant project skills and everything on your resume, I think it should be good.
Okay, ma'am. So the last question was like how to explore ML, AI, web dev, app dev along with the college for non-CS branch students.
Yeah, I think like I mentioned, you will have to save time from there and spend it like going through online courses and going through, you just have to spend that time. I think that's the only way you can do it. Yeah, I think we have 2 more minutes. So yeah, based on that, we can take more questions.
Yeah, ma'am. Last question I would like to ask you, like, what all other skills rather than coding and programming to get into the product-based companies like MAANG or any different companies like which are product-based? What all different
Yeah.
skills which you could acquire?
Right. So like I have tried to cover a lot of them through like different questions. Like I mentioned that just having ability to code does not matter. You should be able to communicate in your interview, ask questions, don't assume anything, tell them whenever you're making a trade-off and all of that. And then other things were like on the project, like nobody will ask you, like of course you have to provide the GitHub repo and everything, but nobody will ask you what does this function do. They'll mostly want to understand that was there a business scenario that, or some real life scenario that your project was trying to target. And then like having that knowledge, that why did you use a particular tech stack, what were the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them. Let's say one more thing that you should know is that in one of the interviews, that's what happened. So the interviewer, more than the actual project, he was interested, so it might be that they might give you a new scenario and ask you that how will you implement this, or they can ask that what do you think could be some of the future scope for your project and how will you implement that. And then have a proper documentation, like have a proper readme and everything of your project on the GitHub repo. I think that really helps. Have a working demo of your project and provide that link in the readme. I think, because if I mention that I made a tourism website, or I made, let's say, a scraper or something, that does not give any idea. But if I have that demo video, and that gives like, okay, this is what my website looks like, and entire, they can also go ahead and play with it and everything. So have that demo and provide that in the documentation. Learn version control. I think that's one more very useful skill. Learn to write readable code, modular code, give proper variable names even in your projects. So you will be providing your project repo links to them, right? So don't put random variable names, put proper variable names there. I think, yeah. And then coming to the coding part, of course, on competitive programming, speed will help you. if you do computer programming, like ability to understand which topic this question belongs to, and then being able to quickly code it. I think, yeah, I think these are the things that are not really highlighted, but I think that they would really put you on an edge from other people. And one more thing, there will be mostly an HR round at the end of all the technical rounds. So don't underestimate that. Like, go through the company's website, go through their LinkedIn page. Most of these companies are very open about their investments and everything. And there will be a question for sure. Like, do you have a question for me by from the interviewer? You don't have to be polite and say no, I don't have any question. Always have questions to ask at the end. Ask relevant questions. Ask about the team that they're working with, the tech stack, or about the company, the roadmap, or what are the expectations from the role, how you can do better. Some of these questions you can ask. And yeah, I think be able to justify whatever you written. That's very obvious, that be able to justify whatever you've written on your CV. Add metrics, highlight the key points in your resume, like make it very readable, and make it easier for the recruiter or anybody to go through your resume. And one thing, so since these product based companies get a lot of applications, most of the times your resume might not even reach a recruiter directly. It might go through some ATS system, which is like automatic tracker system, something. So there are few websites online through which you can make your resume ATS compliant and everything. So these are some things that you can, like, hacks you can take care of while applying. I think that should help.
Yeah. Yeah. So, ma'am, at last, we would like to share your gratitude for joining and sharing your priceless experiences. So, thank you note from us. Thank you, ma'am, for
Thank
joining.
you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me. It was great talking to you guys. Yep.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so dear attendees, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you
Uh,
are.
Yeah, okay. So, dear attendees, this is to ensure that your learning doesn't stop with today's session. So, we at Coding Ninjas offering you with an exclusive discount gift card of 15% on our courses for the participant of this webinar. So, I have shared a link. So, you can go through the link and grab your discount coupon. So, make your monsoon productive through a small token of appreciation. Thank you all for joining the session. Okay. Now, maybe you all can leave this session.
Yeah. Yes.